Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to our Behind Her Brand Monday Morning Brew. This one's coming on a little bit later than normal because I don't know what was going on today, but and maybe it's because of the message that I'm going to share today. The internet could be going really wonky. But before I jump into what I wanted to share today, first, happy Memorial Day to each and every one of you, especially our veterans, people who have served bravely and courageously protecting us, our country. Both my parents are retired military, and I know the sacrifices that they've had to make, and I just always honor those who have served us and served us well. So I'm gonna jump into today's message. I had something planned beforehand, and it's funny because I always say sometimes God just shakes things up and says, "No, you're gonna go a different direction today." And so I'm actually gonna pull from a post. I feel that someone needs to hear this today, and I'm gonna go with what I feel like I'm led to share today. So the post that I made, what that says this, and then I'm gonna share the meaning behind it. And I would love, as always, to hear your thoughts around things. So it says sometimes God takes you on a journey you didn't know you needed to bring you everything you ever wanted and to trust the plan. And what I wrote to that was if there's one thing that I know is that God never leads me to a place he hasn't already set up for me. He takes me on journeys that expand how I see the world, people, and myself. He takes me on journeys that stretches every ounce of my faith. Yes, he does, and patience. And lastly, he takes me on journeys that remind me how much I have grown and still need to learn. But when I arrive, I always feel so incredibly loved by him. He reminds me each day that each adventure that he and I go on is always for my good. Trust his plan and his leading. And when this came on my heart to share today, my first thought was I know I typically don't do messages like this, but I'm good. Like I said, I'm going to go with what I feel led. And I wanted to encourage someone today. Sometimes we're on journeys that we didn't plan. Life takes so many twists and turns that we did not see. And for some of you, you ride through those twists and turns well. For some, you may feel a bit angry. You may feel grief. You may feel anxiety. You may feel all these different things when you're going through your twists and turns and things that the journeys that you've never seen coming. And it echoes a lot what I shared last week about the seasons being right where you need to be. And oftentimes when we go to these different journeys and we can't always see the next step in front of us, which is always the scariest thing I know for me. I'm a planner by nature. I love to plan. I love things to be set up. And when life starts changing and happening, and I can't see the next step clearly looks like, but God tells me trust him to land my feet. And when I land my feet, that firmness will be there. And the next step he'll give me when I'm ready for it. I've had to learn to trust in the steps that are unseen. And I'm encouraging someone today. You may not see every single step. You may not know what's going to come after A. You don't know if it's going to be B. It may be A and a sub part of A. You never know what that next step's going to look like. But trust, not just, I'm not going to say just trust God, but also trust how equipped you are for the seasons that you've been in. If you really look at the journeys that you're on today, the ones that where you probably thought, man, I never thought I'd be going through this again, or I never thought I'd be going through this period. Ask yourself, when you look back in your history, have you gone through something very similar? Have you gone through seasons where, oh, see, I got off track. I broke my nail right before the video, and you can see it right here. I just looked down. Sorry. Side note there. But anyways, if you look back through the history of things you've been through, things you've gone through, things that you survived, things you've thrived through, things you've learned from, oftentimes the things that we have gone through has prepared us for the journeys that we are on now. And as I said here, oftentimes when I've gone on personal journeys, it has expanded how I see myself. I've realized that I'm way stronger than I thought I was. I realize that I'm very resourceful when I need to be. I realized that I've grown in areas that I didn't realize I really grew in. And sometimes it takes going through something to see how far you have come. And even when you recognize that, celebrate that part of you. Sometimes we're so focused on the next thing and the next thing we have to work on and grow that we don't ever pause and say, you know what? I have really grown. A situation like this that may have happened years ago. Now that it's happening, doesn't break me down the way it used to. It doesn't affect me negatively the way it used to. I see the growth. I see the change. Ask yourself, what are you seeing and gleaning and growing from in this season? And I also put on here too that When you go on these different journeys, it will stretch every ounce of your faith and your patience. And ask yourself, whatever you're dealing with today, what is it expanding within you? Is it expanding your courage? Is it expanding your creativity? Is it expanding your faith? Is it expanding your patience? Is it expanding your capacity to forgive, your capacity to love, your capacity to move forward in new creative ways? Ask yourself what this twist and turn, life in kind of moments is teaching you in this season. And I'm going to end on this because, like I said, I don't want to hold y'all too long. 'Cause I know it's Memorial Day and everybody's at home with family and things of that nature. But like I said, this was on my heart to share. I felt like somebody needed to be reminded that sometimes, when I read it again, God takes you on a journey you didn't know you needed to bring you everything you wanted. And that's the thing that I love the most. There are things we don't always know that we need. We may need an extra cup of trust, an extra cup of courage, an extra cup of faith, an extra cup of rest, or maybe a season of pause where nothing seems to be going right and no doors are opening. Maybe that's a season that you're supposed to just pause and not rush or move or jump into the next thing. Maybe it's a season that you're supposed to pause and just rest and assess and observe. Like, really think about this. Whatever is happening to you now is because you need it to happen so it can position you to get into the place where you really get into the new journeys that you desire the most. And that's why, last week when I talked about, let's be in the seasons that we're in, let's also think about what we need. Think about what's happening within you. Think about what's expanding within you. Think about the areas that you're being stretched in. Think about all those different components today, and be present in those moments. Be present in that stretching. Be present in the season of whatever life is teaching you right now. Be present within those lessons. I can tell you that from experience, because I used to always want to get through and keep moving, right? Then I found that I was creating a cycle for myself where I kept going through the same thing, and I kept experiencing the same stuff, and I kept going through the same results. And I kept thinking, what is going on? And it hit me one day. God said, you're not learning the lesson. You're jumping so quickly. I need you to learn the lessons. There's things that I need to cultivate within you, Kim, so that you can be prepared for what I have for you over here. And when I learned to sit in my lessons, sit in my life and moments, whether I like them, don't like them, ups, downs, all the things you feel in certain moments when life is happening, I have learned not to rush through them because I don't want to go through them again. But I have learned, when I go through very hard situations, I see what is birthing within me. When I go through moments, I'm like, whoa, this is really cool. I see what is birthing within me. When I go through moments of pause and rest, I see what is birthing within me. And I've learned to be in those moments, be present. There's a saying that someone mentioned at a conference: be where your feet are planted. And that's not always in present moments and interactions, but it's also in the seasons of your life. Be present in the lessons that you're learning, and really make sure you're learning what you need to learn so that you can go where you want to grow into, right? So, if this is not too personal to ask, I would love to know, in this season, what do you feel like you are learning the most about yourself right now? What is a lesson that you feel like, man, right now, Kim, this is what I'm learning. This is the season that life is really teaching me about, and then fill in the blank. I would love to hear what you're learning. I will tell you all, for me, it has been a big season of stretching outside of my comfort zone. I'm going into things that are not comfortable for me, but also my level of faith. I feel like I'm going into a deeper level of faith, of really trusting the different moving parts of my life in ways that I never had to trust before. So those are two big things that I'm being stretched and pulled and expanding within. So I would love to hear about you. What are you learning? What is this season teaching you? Yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. All right, everyone. Happy Memorial Day, and I look forward to hearing your comments. All right, thank you for joining us again for our Monday Morning Brew.